A 40-foot T-Rex skeleton known as Shen could fetch up to $25 million when it goes up for auction in Hong Kong in November. Shen, which was unearthed in the Hell Creek Formation, in Macon County, Montana, 2020, lived during the Cretaceous period, around 68–66 million years ago. The scientifically important and rare skeleton has since been reassembled in an accurate pose, epitomizing the T-Rex's infamous ferocity. The auction, set to take place on November 30, will be the first time a T-Rex skeleton has ever been offered at auction in Asia. Staff at auction house Christie's expect the sale price to be in the region of 120 million Hong Kong dollars to HK $200 million, £14 million to £23.4 million, or $15 million to $25 million. The winning buyer could potentially be a multi-millionaire private collector who wants to display Shen in their massive mansion, something that has proved a point of contention with paleontologists. Tyrannosaurus rex was a species of bird-like, meat-eating dinosaur. It lived between 68–66 million years ago in what is now the western side of North America. They could reach up to 40 feet, 12 meters, long and 12 feet, 4 meters, tall. More than 50 fossilized specimens of T-Rex have been collected to date. The monstrous animal had one of the strongest bites in the animal kingdom. Shen the T-Rex has been researched by paleontologists Dr. David A. Burnham at the University of Kansas and Dr. John R. Nuds at the University of Manchester. T-Rex are incredibly rare, said Dr. Nuds. Just 1 in 80 million T-Rex dinosaurs were preserved as a fossil. Only 2 have ever sold at auction. T-Rex is the greatest of all dinosaurs and Shen is one of the best. T-Rex is the epitome of evolution for meat-eating animals. It had the strongest bite force, the largest orbits for any vertebrate, and a brain that was remarkably advanced for dinosaurs. The skeleton, which is currently owned by a private collector, will be physically on view at the Victoria Theatre.